another episode of Let's Talk Girl. And today I'm talking with my beloved friend, Monica Ruiz-Noriega, who I miss so much.
Yeah, I
We
know.
attend college together in London a few years ago, and has been 2 years since we've been together last time in New York. So yeah, I miss you. So
We're due.
thank you so much for accepting my invitation for this conversation. And Monica is a naturopath nutritional therapist like me, and she been focusing her practicing a lot in gut healing, and also in now more and more into anti-aging protocols. And today we're going to talk about it, the different elements that helps people to live longer, but also more vibrant and productive. So Monica, I just want you to introduce yourself, and then let's just roll the ball and have a conversation.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Rose. It's a mutual, I guess, pleasure. I'm thrilled to be sharing the screen with you. I think I don't know why we don't do it more often. Because yeah, I miss you too, and I miss just the really engaging and brain stimulating conversations that we have together, and how, from your perspective and from my perspective,
Mm.
we can definitely not just help each other as we've been doing it for many years, but also, try to help as many women and men, I suppose, that we can. And, as Rose mentioned, I'm also a naturopathic nutritionist, and I'm based in San Francisco in the US, although I miss the UK dearly every day, really, and my friends there too. And as Rose mentioned, I focus my practice primarily because of my own personal health journey in gut health, but also now that I'm in my 50s, in longevity and anti-aging strategies. And most of the recommendations that I give to my clients or to the people who work with me and attend my workshops are based on my own personal experience and on the published research. I'm trained as a scientist, and as a scientist, I suppose I cannot avoid just being guided by science. But as we know in this day and age, even with the technological and science advances, everything still it's personalized.
Yes.
And science could say something, but that something may not work for you. So that's why my recommendations come also from what has worked for me or what has not worked for me, as a 50-some-year-old woman. And
And
that's it.
where you'd say that is the start point for longevity that is health and vibrant and energetic and productive.
Right. I'd say, Rose, after I'm still in this journey, again, what worked for me in my 30s did not work for me then in my 40s, and it's definitely not working in my 50s. So every time that my life situation, from whichever perspective you mean, either from the environment where I'm living, the city where I live, my social connections in my environment, how nourished and cared for I feel, by my friends, or my, I sadly don't live close to my family. So every time my situation and my surrounding environment has changed, so I've had to adapt to different situations. And what I found that seems to be the common ground is that you really have to pay attention to your body and sort of try to clean the terrain, start from scratching everything, clean the slate and start building up. And in my 30s, maybe that meant just paying attention to my diet and trying to clean it out a little bit, and that's it. Then in my 40s, it was all about just gut health, and trying to have a good intestinal microbiome, the healthy gut bacteria in our guts, or optimize digestive function. But now I feel that to clean my slate, I had to go even a step down the line, and I found that for me right now, paying attention to how my body controls blood sugar, blood glucose, seems to be the number one. I feel that that has helped me sort of like take a look at how my hormones, not just insulin, which is the one directly related to blood sugar, works, but the stress hormone cortisol, or even estrogen and progesterone and all those sex hormones that also help us be healthy, especially at this age, when we're experiencing yet another roller coaster of hormonal changes. So that's where I'm focusing my energy right now for the most part. I've played around with the keto diet. I've played around with intermittent fasting. I've played around with just longer fasting approaches, and I've tested it all. I feel, and I don't think I've managed to identify what works for me right now.
Okay.
So even though I think I managed to keep my blood sugar pretty stable throughout the day and night.
I used to wearing the continuum monitor.
Yes, I stopped for a little bit, and then I put another one on maybe like 10 days ago or so.
Mhm.
And I've used it mainly, you know why? Because I want to identify certain foods that supposedly shouldn't impact your blood sugar so much, uh, to see how, or
But
recipes.
yeah, but that is the mystery of blood sugar. So and I absolutely agree that his blood sugar is the new terrain, So it's I think we as naturopath we are taught to always start from the gut, and it's absolutely true. The gut is the terrain, and then it's going to help you with all the different systems on your body.
Mhm.
But the sugar balance is also like is going to affect your gut, and it's going to affect your cortisol production and your stress response. And the interesting thing I found, and I saw this over and over through my practice when I was at the retreat, because I saw loads of diabetics when I was there. And the thing is, one food that is not supposed to spike anyone's blood sugar, for
Mhm.
someone, is like you having pure sugar, white sugar,
Right.
So it's so individual, because I think, like you said, our hormones, and I love the analogy. And yesterday I was talking to Mike, like I came up, for me it became so clear that like when you get in perimenopause, the feeling is that you got into a roller coaster,
Mhm.
and someone like put you there without asking your permission and didn't
Yeah.
back you up properly, so you're not even really,
Awful.
like on a seat belt is not really
I know.
so
I know.
you always feeling that at any minute.
And blind too, Rose, because you don't know if you're coming up to a downhill or an uphill or a turn or something.
Exactly,
So
exactly,
it
yeah.
is, and what I find, and I know we're switching gears a little bit here, but this is something that's very important, and I think I'm happy that you and I are talking about menopause and perimenopause, because one generation ago, women wouldn't talk about this.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we don't have anyone to go ask, what was it for you, or what was for the women around you when you were going through menopause, because it was sort of like taboo. And we are definitely a lot more open about it. And
Yes.
we are going through menopause, and yes, just as we go through adolescence, and just as we go through giving birth to children, or our fertile years.
Yeah.
So I think this is key, that we are just letting the people that are coming after us, that, yeah, be ready to experience these things
Yeah.
and buckle up.
Exactly.
Don't jump into the roller coaster, just prepare and take care of things,
Take the blindfolds.
and start taking, paying attention from, I'd say, from age 20.
Absolutely. I would go further. I would like, we should start educating our girls
Mhm.
before they start to have their periods,
Yeah,
to break
that's true.
the stigma that is the the cycle is not a good thing and is a
Mhm.
suffer and is a curse, and all this stigma that we have. But just going back to the sugar thing, I don't think it's like you can actually separate it, going through perimenopause and menopause and health aging.
No.
Do you know they
Yeah.
are interconnected? Do you know,
Yeah.
like, because if I'm going to, when I have a client, yes, blood sugar is the number one thing that
Yeah.
we need to learn to control,
Mm-hmm.
because blood sugar and then adrenals. But
Yes.
why? Because the insulin response and then cortisol response, they
I,
work in opposition.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and then of course, with the blood sugars, the amount of inflammation and the oxidation, and then mitochondria destruction. So, after blood sugar, then how do you instruct your clients? What is on your protocol? What's the steps on your protocol?
So, and blood sugar really, it means cleaning up their diet. Cleaning up their diet, because just as you said, it's believed that the aging process, it's really driven, or the anti-aging process is, I guess the aging process is stopped or modulated by the amount of oxidative stress that our body is exposed to. And
Yes.
oxidative stress just refers to, the ability of our bodies to counteract or neutralize, or cancel out uh, free radicals, or pretty reactive molecules that could bind to our proteins, to our fats, to our DNA, and mess up their function. Okay, so our body has very specialized mechanisms to, balance those free radicals. And we also have them, we eat them, some of them we eat them. So if we are, you know subjecting our body to a lot more than what our body handles, then it's when you accelerate the aging process. And how does it look to put your body into a lot more load than what it handles? Definitely what you eat. You could have a diet that it's rich in foods that more than offer antioxidants and protective nutrients. You add a little bit more wood to the fire, and those are obviously the foods, the processed foods, and the refined grains,
Vegetable
high
oil.
exactly, the vegetable oils, the very high carbohydrate foods, all the baked goods, pizza, uh, French fries, all of those foods that we all know that are not good for us. But something that people may not think about is that it's also how much of any food we're eating. Because if we're overeating even healthy things, that means that our body has to work a lot more. And as part of our metabolism, we generate these free radicals. Just as a normal process of our metabolism of food, we produce free
Yeah,
radicals. And
glycation, isn't it? Every time
and
you eat, you have
well,
glycation, and then
but
yeah,
your
produce.
mitochondria, the way your mitochondria converts food into energy is through oxidating a lot of
Metabolites. Yeah,
molecules.
yeah.
And it produce, if you don't have enough antioxidants to sort of like neutralize all the free radicals that are produced just as the normal product of our metabolism, you end up with a surplus of oxidative and free radical molecules that start damaging your body. So I'd say diet, it's the number one, not just the foods that you eat, but also the amount of food that you eat.
And how frequently as well,
And
isn't it? Because you
how,
graze all day long. Every
yeah.
time you eat, you create more free radicals as well. So it's
Mhm.
that, hence, like these periods of fasting,
Exactly.
can, although I have my reservations with women and fasting.
Me too. Me too. I do, especially intermittent fasting.
Exactly, yeah.
Uh, but that's number one. And then another very common area where we may not think about, it's the environment.
Absolutely.
The environment also contributes to add to our toxic load or to our free radical load. And there are things that are out of our control, like we may live in a polluted city, and there's we have to live there, so we'll be exposed to certain environmental toxins that will add to our toxic load. And we cannot we cannot move necessarily, but we can definitely take steps to mitigate that exposure,
Yes.
and that's through nutrients or through supplements or through, other practices that we have more control over, that would then reduce the exposure in other
Yeah.
departments. No?
Supporting your liver on a regular
Oh,
basis, isn't it? Like pay attention to give the liver the nutrients, the minerals, the amino acids that is necessary for phase one, phase two of the detoxification. But I think also uh, mitigate on a sense that what you avoid to get in contact through your makeup and
oh yeah,
your cosmetics and house products and things like
totally,
that.
totally. And something that right now we're in the middle of the pandemic, and we might gravitate more towards that. But alcohol, it's another thing. It's a pretty important driver of inflammation and of liver
Congest.
congest, and it just loads. It just metabolizing alcohol takes away your liver from other more important duties, as it would be getting rid of other toxins that are even more toxic.
Bad estrogen, for instance.
Oh, exactly, like estrogen, and all those medications that we automatically gravitate to, like the painkillers, all the ibuprofen and all of those drugs, or
Blood pressure medicine.
and PPIs, to control
Absolutely.
heartburn and digestive distress. Just those things that sometimes we overuse, at also not great. And definitely, we go back to stress. Those are things that I feel we can control. That our diet, most definitely, and also these factors, the overeating, the what we put on our faces, how much alcohol. And I don't mean never drinking or not being able to enjoy
And
a
where you
glass
stand
of
with
water.
sleep, because I'm
Oh,
obsessed with
yeah,
sleep.
no, I am, yes, totally. I am obsessed with that. Because if you don't sleep well, then you'll have, your cortisol will spike, and
Insulin response is going to be
messed
mitigated.
up. You're going to be hungry. You're going to be having cravings. You're going to be completely
Ghrelin is
messed
going
up.
to be, yeah. So all the different
So
hormones.
I'd say I'm going to go back and start again and say that blood sugar is not the number one.
Sleep.
It's,
Yes.
and for me as a nutritionist, that was pretty shocking, Rose. I don't know if it was also for you that, I used to think, diet, it's the number one, like totally, it's the number one, exercise, it's secondary. Uh, Stress is good, but if you didn't have a good diet, then forget it, which is true. But you could have the best diet if you have crappy sleep, it's not going to do anything.
This is my new thing. Like I tell people, like sleep is so important for me that sometimes I prioritize sleep over my own diet.
I know.
And I'm
Yes.
a nutritionist, do you know?
Hmm.
And for me, it's like, and that, like you said, is something new. Do you know? Like last year, I start reading about it, and I started getting really more interesting. Because for years I wasn't sleep well.
Hmm.
Now looking back, like I suffer with insomnia or just have that. And what nowadays I know that is blood sugar
Right.
regulation
Hmm.
default. Do you think that you go to bed and then you wake up about 2 or 3 in the morning? And
Yeah, that's blood sugar.
that's blood sugar, totally. And then you take a while for you to sleep again, or sometimes you can't even sleep. But also, and that is a very intimate opening, like for I needed to sleep for a separate room for my husband
Hmm. Hmm.
because our
Oh yeah.
chromobiome, chromobiology is completely different. Like
Yes.
he is a night guy. Like he can't sleep before midnight, 2 in the
Right.
morning.
And you're more like
Oh no,
like a
9:30.
rooster.
Yes, because what happens? It doesn't matter if I go to bed 9:30 or 1:30. By 6 o'clock,
You're up.
I'm up.
Yeah,
And
same for
he
me.
can sleep if he has the chance up to 12, 1 of
Yeah.
p.m. because he works. So for years, we've been married for almost 20 years, and only last year I said enough is enough,
Yeah.
and then we separate the rooms, and it was quite good because now we have dates.
Yeah.
Spice it up things.
No,
But
I think that's key.
yeah, but
Totally.
for, do you know, like I wear a mask and
Mhm.
earplug, but he will use the computer on the
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah. No. And
So
that is, maybe subconsciously it's also stressing you,
of
because
course,
even though we're sleeping, we're not dead.
no.
Even though it may look like we're dead, um, we're not. And for me, maybe 2 years ago or three, I can't even remember now. I came, somebody suggested to me to listen to a podcast that I love, and they were interviewing a British scientist he's a researcher in Berkeley. His name is Matthew Walker,
It's the
and he wrote
why we sleep guy.
Why We Sleep. He's the author of Why We Sleep.
Mm.
And I've read the book, I think, 3 times.
It's
uh,
amazing, yes.
it changed my life, from the first time that I read it. So I recommend anybody just listen to him, on free podcasts,
The
or
entire
try to
book,
get the book,
the
because it
entire book is on the YouTube.
oh, is it? And it's
Yeah.
full of really practical recommendations. I think he ends the book with 12 practical tips that, you might not be thinking about, that could make an impact definitely on your sleep. And that is also going back to menopause. That is something
Yes.
that it's also very common during perimenopause and during menopause,
Absolutely. It's
to
the
have
first thing that
insomnia.
goes out of the window.
And you need to have these tools in your toolbox to know how you can optimize, um, your sleep during those years,
Of course, yeah.
and it's also important to keep in mind that it's not just the time that you go and to bed. It's actually the time in which you fall asleep because it could take you an hour to fall asleep.
Of course, yeah.
And you should find what's your optimum number of hours of sleep, because for you might be 8, for me might be 10, or might be 7 or 6. I don't know. You have
Sure.
to find that. And I guess we're fortunate now that we have so many tools at our disposal to that help us track how efficient we're
I love the
sleeping.
techie.
I know, I do too. And I see both of us are wearing our Aura rings.
Yes.
For me, I think it's been almost 3 years since or not 2 years. I got mine in 2019, but I had my eyes on it for a while. And I love it. It does give me a lot of information and insights. And I participated, actually, this is a totally side topic, but I participated in a study that these guys conducted linked to COVID. And
Ah,
they were trying to see if you could detect, sort of like when you get infected and when your body starts responding to your immune system
yeah.
starts responding to the infection before, as a tool to say, okay, maybe you got infected, don't leave your house, isolate yourself, get tested, and then see. Uh, because it detects your changes in body temperature,
Exactly.
your HRV, your heart rate, uh, all these things, and it gives you very practical scores that could be affected definitely when you get infected or when your body's under stress.
Yeah, back in November, I did the test and came negative, but I had a week that I swear to God that feels like COVID, and and I could track the whole when I was having fever,
Oh,
just
really?
yeah, just through the app. Do you
Yeah.
know, like I could see the increase in my body temperature, my scores like completely
Drop.
plummet. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I could see the whole, and then as I was getting better, so now I love the tech. I know like is a
Yeah.
very controversial uh, subject
Approach.
because some people will talk about the EMFs and then the whole
Uh-huh.
Bluetooth thing and everything. But I think the more data and information you have, more you can control the roller coaster. Do you know, like
And more you
better.
can personalize it too, Rose. I think that you cannot argue with that. If you're seeing, when you read your blood sugar either through a continuous blood sugar monitor or just by the
Prick.
prick test,
Yeah,
uh, I mean, how could you argue with that?
of
Like,
course.
it's there. Like, you're seeing that your blood sugar is 7. Like,
Yeah,
you know, uh,
yeah,
or 120, depending on the units that you measure
yeah.
your blood sugar. But you can't argue with that.
No,
uh,
absolutely. And what I found out is, and that is an interesting thing, like the sleep topic, because then brings us to another topic that for me is also something I recently, well, last year especially, I learned about. That is how important is breathing, how is
mm,
important is to pay attention to your breath, and how we can use your breath to actually help with you manage your stress and then
mm,
help you to sleep as well. Because you mentioned how perimenopause woman and menopause woman suffers with sleep deprivation
yeah,
and different difficulties, and mostly it's because of the amount of stress,
yeah,
like all
yeah,
the internal stress because of the imbalance of the hormones, but also because of the outside stress. When we get in that stage of our life is um, marriage might not be on the best legs, kids might be
yeah.
leaving home, or otherwise they are teenagers, what is a different
It's another roller coaster.
roller coaster altogether. Uh, if you if you have prioritized your career, you might be at the peak of your career, but your energy is not matching what
Yeah,
you need for your momentum. Or if you haven't prioritized your career, you might starting like having more time and then starting wondering and asking yourself what I'm going to do with my life from now. Kids is
Yeah,
gone, and
yeah.
so it's a lot of stress. And
A lot of stress.
I learned that is through my breath is one of the tools that is really helpful.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think you touched so many, key points that we could be here talking for 10 hours. But uh, I'd say that the more, I think this technology is amazing, but the way that I'm using it too, I'm learning to know myself and to listen to myself, because that's the goal in the end. We don't want to depend on technology all the
of
time.
course, yeah,
We
yeah.
want to really get to feel how it feels to have unbalanced blood sugar, or how it feels to have a food that doesn't agree with our body type. Even if everybody says that kale it's the best superfood, well, maybe it's not for you.
Of course,
Maybe
yeah.
for you it's cauliflower. I don't know, I'm just making things up. But the fact that it's been the superfood for somebody doesn't mean that it's for everyone. And I think that's ultimately the goal, to really be in tune with your body and try, because our bodies know what we want and what we need. And if we just stop and listen, and I'm telling that to myself, believe me, I still struggle with that a lot.
Of
I
course.
try to go against many times with what I think my body's telling me. And right now, as you said it, the midlife crisis, well, I'm going through one because I need to put the brakes on my life and just say, all right, sit down and try to listen to what it is that you really want to do. Because as you said, my kids are older, and yes, I love what I do, but is this something that I really want to keep on doing for the rest of my life, or is this the way that I want to do it? And breathing, it's definite, I'm going to that more and more,
Of course, yeah, yeah, yeah.
just
No,
to
'cause-
to,
and
to that.
it's that is I was telling my teenager yesterday, like to be health comes to five things. That is, I know it's a more multi-dimension, but it's
Yeah.
the basic is very simple. Everyone breathes because
Mhm.
if you don't breathe, you die.
Right? Yeah.
Everyone sleeps because if you don't sleep, you die.
You die. Yeah.
Everyone eats because if you don't eat, you die.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone's move because if you don't move, you're eventually going to die. And
Yeah.
everyone's, excuse my French, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know so and you just need, and it's just five things that you need to do anyway. It's not a choice.
Yeah.
It's not a choice to be a human being functionally. You need to do these five things.
I'd add to your five things
Drinking
another
water.
really well, yeah, drinking water obviously, but the social connection. I find that
Absolutely.
for me, Rose, that's been, and because I'm constantly moving from city to city and country to country, and I am away. I've lived for almost 30 years away from my home country and from my family and my longtime friends. uh, that's that I keep feeling incomplete.
Yeah, well,
you
the
know and,
same here because I'm an immigrant and haven't managed to make many roots and develop new friends. And the ones I do, they go away.
I know, I feel the same. So but that's also something that it's part of my own personal work, to make
Yeah,
peace with that and see what it is that I need to learn from that, or how, I mean, at the same time, it's been an advantage for me, because if I had not moved so much, I would not have met you, for example,
oh
or
yeah,
I had not studied nutrition.
of course, yeah.
So every place where I've been, it's been part of my life for a reason. I see it now, but still, I still miss my family and my
Yes.
friends from childhood and university and
Yeah, no,
teenage years.
absolutely. I think social connection is one big mark for longevity
Mhm,
and for health,
mhm.
to be health and live longer. But
Most definitely.
what I'm saying is this, if you don't take care of these five things first, because it's just like you already breathe, just pay attention to your breath.
Yes.
You
Yes.
already sleep, just pay attention to your sleep. You
Mhm.
already eat, let's pay, do you know, like these things that is not negotiable. You
Yes.
can't negotiate with, I'm not going to sleep, you're going to die.
And those are things that, from an evolutionary
Of
perspective,
course,
they're maintained. We have not lost that.
exactly.
Sleep has been part of the human species since the first day, and the amount of sleep and everything. So yes, most definitely, those things are part of our biology for a
Yeah,
reason. And just trying to go against it, it's not smart.
exactly. It's like you said, I think the most important thing, especially as a woman and as we get older, is to know more and more ourselves, to bring it in.
Hmm.
And then because the more you know yourself, more you have, it's not, I don't like to use the word control, because some people can take a little bit further and do
Yeah.
not think that you can control everything, and it's not about control, but it's about it working with your body.
Yes. Yes.
Your body carries you. You
Uh-huh.
are not your body. Like, I believe that I'm
Yeah.
not my body, but my
Right.
body carries me. And
Yeah.
if I don't take care of my body, of this body that's carrying me, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
So, and once this is gone, it's gone. Like, we can believe in different things, and we can have a different conversation about life after death, but in this three dimension
Right
here,
now.
that
Hmm.
is it. That is my carrier, that is my,
100%.
my host. And so, yeah, let's look after that, so be
Most
friends
definitely.
with our body. So,
A
but
hundred
just to keep
percent.
practical, and I think we probably need to wrap it up very soon, Monica. Um, so, what would be like a practical things that you would suggest people to do if they want to live longer, and to be more vibrant and energetic and productive?
Well, I'd say the number one, as we said,
Sleep.
get your sleep
Okay.
every night. Non-negotiable. Go to bed, uh, ensuring that you'll get 8 hours of sleep. If that means you have to go to bed at 9, then so be it. You go to bed at 9. But just make that your number one priority. Second would be to try to ditch some, and you could start little by little, but definitely try to get rid of unhealthy foods that we know, those baked goods, those processed foods, those and try to incorporate into your diet more of those whole natural foods. Definitely a lot more vegetables, some fruits. And I'd say some fruits, because sometimes we could overdo it on the fruits, and again, if we go to the blood sugar issues, we could have uh,
Smoothies made with
imbalances with that.
smoothies made with banana, pineapple, and mango.
Mango, exactly. So stay away from those. Choose your fruits wisely, and just have a couple, but definitely load it on the vegetables. And I'd say, my number one recommendation right now, it's to overuse. And this is something that I rarely suggest that you overuse something, but I'd say herbs and spices, overuse them, a whole variety of them, because each one has a very different composition, a very unique medicinal function, and they're full of polyphenols and good nutrients that help not just your microbiome, but that work as an antioxidants that we
I
need.
see.
and pay attention also to where you are loading your body with toxins. See if the ingredients on your makeup, how much plastics you're handling, how much alcohol you're drinking, how much food you're eating. Maybe for a couple of days write down what you're eating, and see how, and breathe. If you can breathe in nature, even better. I'm lucky here that I could breathe while overlooking the ocean, and I know that not everybody has the luxury to do that. Um, but breathe, as you were saying. I'd say those would be, the because you want to start with little. You don't
Of
want
course, yeah, yeah. I don't want to be
to
overwhelmed.
overwhelm
Yeah,
people with,
yeah, yeah.
if you were to start with one, then tomorrow on your breakfast, choose a new spice to add to your porridge or to your eggs or to whatever it is, and maybe don't go for the muffin,
Exactly.
or the scone.
Yeah, it was I tell like my clients, and when I'm giving talks as well, like especially if I'm talking about it, detoxification or environment toxins and change your products and things, you don't need to go to your house and then strip out of your entire cabinet. Every time a product finish, less time you're going to buy a new one. Make a
Mm,
better choice.
yeah,
So
yeah,
starting looking, and the other thing that is, I think is you touch it and it's very important. Read the label, read
uh,
the list of ingredients, become familiar with which toxins to avoid. Do you know, like if you put in a Google is going to tell you
yeah,
immediately for
yeah,
cosmetics, for your shampoos, for your makeup, for your cleaning products, which ones are the most offensive, do you
yeah,
know, like for your health, and then take one step each time, because I don't know, you can say your opinion, but on my opinion, just searching for a health life is forever
yeah.
and is every day.
It's every day.
Do you know? So, and is a step by step that is like, is a stuck thing that you keep it, and sometimes you lose and then
Yeah.
you start again.
Yes.
Do you know? So it's,
And that's the part that could feel overwhelming, that it's forever.
yeah, but
But as you said, it's to take care of the only thing that you have. That
carries
this
you.
is really the only thing that we really have.
Yes,
Our body. We don't have anything else.
yes,
That's it. So, we do it for our homes, we do it, for our cars. Why not do it for our bodies?
exactly. Yes. So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
My friend, it was a
thank
pleasure.
you.
So we should do more. We should choose different subjects and then
I
talk
agree.
about
I
it.
think I think we have, topics for so many more conversations. I
Yeah,
love it. I love talking to you, and I love this, Rose. So
me
yes,
too. Me
let's
too. Me
let's do
too.
it again.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure like we're going to, a lot of people is going to use this information, and I hope they can start making this little change to improve their life, because I think that is what is important, is to help to spread the word, and
Mhm.
make people to understand how important it is to connect with their body.
Yes, totally. I love you.
I
Thank you
love
so
you.
much, Rose.
Me too. I'm going to stop recording this now.